The girl held her breath, her eyes fixed on the surveillance feed from outside the bunker. One of the men with knives had noticed the exposed pipe near the entrance. Just as he began tracing its path, the bald leader barked an order, cutting him off. Clearly, they had urgent business elsewhere. As their footsteps faded into the distance, the girl's heart, which had leapt into her throat, slammed back down into her chest. Then, the bald man suddenly turned and glanced directly toward the camera's location. The girl's blood ran cold, but he merely wiped the sweat from his face with a rough gesture and disappeared into the gathering dusk. Deep into the night, the surveillance screens had shown no movement for hours. Finally, the girl let out a long, shuddering sigh. Lucky, seeming to understand the danger had passed, meowed softly twice before padding gracefully toward the living room. For dinner, the girl rewarded Lucky with a bowl of warmed milk and a can of tuna. Grateful for the cat's quiet companionship during her fear, she poured herself a glass of red wine, hoping the alcohol would soothe her frayed nerves. Just as she was preparing for bed, a rhythmic tapping sound came from the main door. Her drowsiness vanished instantly. Snatching the fruit knife from the table, she rushed to the surveillance room. On the screen was a man, his face smeared with blood and grime. His left arm was wrapped in a blood-soaked bandage, and he carried no visible weapons. With his right hand, he continued the steady, patterned knocking against the door. Listening closely, she recognized it as a clear signal, 3 long taps, followed by 2 short ones. Soon, he noticed the camera above him. Raising both hands slowly, he made a pleading gesture directly into the lens. Rule number 1 from the Apocalypse Survival Manual screamed in her mind. Asterisk, trust no strangers, asterisk. But as he staggered and slumped to his knees, she caught a glimpse of a tattered emblem on his uniform sleeve. 126. The insignia of medical personnel from the North Suburb Safe Zone. After 3 full minutes of hesitation, she pressed the intercom button. How did you find this place? She demanded. He coughed weakly, a dry, rasping sound. I noticed someone building a shelter here. Before everything fell apart, he managed, his voice strained. He identified himself as Joe Min, deputy leader of the 3rd Medical Team, Sector B, North Suburb Safe Zone. What do you want here? The girl asked, her voice tight. He explained between violent coughs that this viral crisis was no accident. It was the result of a genetic experiment gone wrong. Trembling, he pulled a USB drive from inside his jacket. When this is over, please give this to the military, he gasped. The girl ordered him to leave the drive at the door and walk away. Watching his retreating figure on the monitor, her tone softened slightly. She added that she would leave some food and medicine outside for him. To her surprise, he refused. I'm becoming one of them, he whispered. On the screen, she watched as his form seemed to warp and twist before he finally vanished into the darkness at the far end of the road. Later, when she held the USB drive in her palm, it felt unnaturally cold. That night, the walls of the bunker seemed just a little thinner than before.